What's up, my fellow developers, and welcome back to the Dev Shop. So, today is going to be a helpful tip video. I'm going to give you guys tips that I've accumulated over the course of talking with people and listening and watching the Discord. So, if you find this video helpful, do not forget to give it a thumbs up. So, the first tip is changing your RHI. Now, the RHI stands for the rendering hardware interface. Now, this is your DirectX 12, your Vulkan, your Metal, things like that. So if you are trying to build O3DE and everything works properly, it built correctly, you have your project created, no errors, but you find that the engine does not open. You might have the blue spinning circle near your mouse, or that the asset processor might start, and then you might see a splash screen, but then it goes away and the engine does not open. And possibly maybe you have an older graphics card. In my case, I have a GTX 770. I know, don't laugh. And though it supports the bare bones of DirectX 12, I believe the feature set 11, I believe the feature set that O3DE requires is higher than that. Thus, I cannot run the engine with DirectX 12 for me. So in my case, again, the engine builds correctly. When I create my project, everything builds correctly with that. I'm able to configure and build both of those, the engine and the project. But until I change my interface for the rendering hardware, engine will not open. So if you're having a similar issue to that of which I was when I first started with the engine, what you want to do is open up your command line to your engine source. So mine looks like this, O3DE. So because you are changing your hardware interface, you cannot use the project manager because it doesn't have functionality to change the interface. So you have to run your project through the command line. So the first thing you want to do is actually point to your editor. So for me, that looks like this. All right. So now that I have my editor to run, what we want to do is actually put our RHI next to this. Now you don't have to put it in this order, but this is how I do it. So we're switching to Vulkan. So it is -RHI equals Vulkan. Now the next command after that, you want to point towards your actual project so that it knows what project to load. And that is done with this command. So in my case, we have our editor.exe, we have the RHI switch to Vulkan, we have the -- project path pointing to my actual project. And when I run this, I actually get the editor open and I can go ahead and start making my game. The next tip is simulating ground. Now, maybe you're not aware, but we don't actually have a terrain system inside of O3DE. That was completely stripped out of Lumberyard and left out because the team wanted to actually build something from the ground up that was more modern and actually more useful for today's age of game development. There's already a discussion going on about what tools to be included. I believe that's actually being finalized so they can start actually developing and starting putting those features piece by piece in the engine. So in the meantime, if you need ground, the easiest way is to use a physics collider. So if we was to go to here and get our ground, I'm going to actually create a child entity. I want to call it ground and just get a physics collider. It spawns in by default as a physics asset, which is why you can't see the box. So if I change this to box, you can now see the box. And I can lower this to kind of match the ground here. And then I want to make sure that it's not a trigger. And then you can just, do the dimensions, let's say 200 by 200 on a Y. And now when you create your character and give it gravity, it will actually stay put on the ground, and you can use that to start, mapping out your mechanics, things of that nature, until we have a proper system that will display terrain or actual ground that's built into the engine. The last tip is you actually might find yourself compiling the engine, but then seeing like linker 1104 errors. And you might not know where that comes from. So a lot of times you might find yourself compiling with the asset processor open. And there are times that because it's open, if it's, processing files, or maybe it's not done, or the fact that it's open in general, it will oftentimes lock files. So when you're trying to compile and maybe that file needs to change, you want to get blocked because the asset processor has it on lock. So the quickest way is to close your asset processor, and also make sure that when you close your asset processor that you're checking the processes below, just to make sure there isn't an extra process running. Once you do that, give it a maybe like a 5 or 10 seconds, and then rerun the command again, and you will see that it actually went through. All right, guys, that is 3 tips to help you guys out with some of the things that you might run across with the engine. There are definitely more coming. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If there's an issue that you're running into, please reach out to me or on the Discord, and if I see it and it's something that I can come to a solution, or if someone else came to a solution, I'll definitely make another compiled video of more tips. But other than that, hope you guys are having a very dope day. Hope you guys are prospering in your projects. And until next time, keep developing.